The story begins with a 40-year-old salaryman named Daisuke who loves survival games. He's currently in an airsoft battle, with everyone locked in and shooting at each other. Suddenly, the host announces that the match will end in 30 seconds. As he fires at his opponents, a memory of a friend's wedding flashes in his mind. He recalls sharing a meal with his friend, congratulating him. His friend then jokes that from now on, he won't be able to spend his money freely. But it isn't a big deal since he'll live for his partner. He teases Daisuke, saying he's a kind and dependable man who will find someone soon as well. Back in the present, Daisuke mutters that he can't believe he's already 40 and wonders if he's hit his expiration date. He figures it's probably because he's spent so much time obsessing over survival games. But then he reloads his weapon and yells that his heart is still in its 20s and keeps firing. His opponents, seeing this, try to escape, shouting that Daisuke is a pro as always. While shooting, Daisuke recalls his coworker's words about living for others and realizes he's only lived for himself up till now. Just then, thick smoke surrounds him in the small arena. He thinks it's a smoke screen, but when it clears, he sees that his surroundings have completely changed and he's no longer in the game arena. He hears something behind him, and when he turns around, he sees a massive bird-like monster standing there with its huge claw reaching out toward him. Daisuke's mind scrambles, trying to make sense of what this giant bird beast is. The Griffon tries to strike him with a roar, but Daisuke manages to get away just in time. Just then, he hears a voice telling him to fight with all his heart. He looks around to see who is speaking, but the voice comes again and says that it's given him power and he should use it well. Suddenly, his gun begins to glow, and Daisuke quickly unloads the magazine and is stunned to find real bullets inside. He gets shocked when he sees that his airsoft gun has transformed into a real M4 carbine, which is a well-known assault rifle that fires 5.56 NATO rounds 3 times consecutively in one trigger pull. Daisuke says to the voice that he is trained in firearm control during survival games, but he isn't sure if it'll work on a creature of this size. However, he decides to give it a try and opens fire, and a storm of bullets blasts the bird beast and forces it to retreat and fly away. Just then, someone appears beside him and praises him, which makes Daisuke jump in surprise, and he quickly turns to see a girl standing there. She introduces herself as Krim, the observer of this world, and calmly tells him that he's now in another world. Daisuke stares at her with shock while Krim explains that she tested his strength using that huge bird named Griffon, and she has been traveling across worlds to look for strong, battle-hardened people like him. Hearing this, Daisuke tries to explain that his games were just for fun, but Krim assures him that his abilities are very real. She says that he doesn't just have fighting skills, but also has a kind heart and is willing to help others. Hearing this, Daisuke mutters that she is being quite specific. Krim further reveals that this world is in danger and is on the verge of falling into chaos due to growing malevolence, but Daisuke has the power to stop it by helping those in need. She explains that as an observer, she can't intervene directly, so she needs Daisuke to help anyone he meets in this world. Hearing this, Daisuke says that helping people sounds okay, but he has a job and it will be difficult for him to get time for resting. Krim tells him not to worry and opens a glowing portal that is connected to his closet. Daisuke gets surprised when he sees that it really leads to his room. Krim then tells him that he can come and go whenever he wants and can save the world. Hearing this, Daisuke feels relieved that he doesn't have to leave anything behind. Then, Krim asks him what he thinks of the offer, and Daisuke replies that he understands the terms and agrees to take the job as long as he can do it on his own. Krim then grants Daisuke some special powers to aid him on his journey. He notices that his body glows brightly, and he wonders what kind of ability he just received. Krim explains that his unique power will allow him to turn his tools into real-life versions, but it will only happen when he is in this world. Hearing this, Daisuke gets excited to learn that he can transform his airsoft gun into an actual firearm. After that, Krim tells him to give his name card to someone he holds dear, because she has cast a spell on it that will lead him to that person. The next day, Daisuke steps into the closet and starts walking down a path into the other world. He eventually comes across a strange sign, and his mind starts buffering like an old CD trying to figure it out. The sign warns of magic beasts, but our old guy is too dumb to understand what it means, so he continues walking. He looks around and wonders how strange it is that he can just wander into an entirely different world through his closet. He notices that this place is filled with plants and creatures he's never seen before, and feels that it's still too confusing for his mind. He also realizes that the only thing he's brought with him from his world is his airsoft gun. Suddenly, a strange noise comes from behind, and when he turns around, he's shocked to see that a horde of goblins is charging toward him. The goblins are low-intelligence creatures that move and attack in packs. One of the goblins tries to attack, but Daisuke easily dodges it and wonders what kind of creatures they are. Despite his efforts to dodge the goblins, they get closer to him and bite at Daisuke's shoulder bag. Just then, the goblins are blasted into the air by a sudden force. And a young beauty in armor appears and tells Daisuke to hide behind her. Daisuke quickly gets behind her and looks at the girl with surprise, who is wielding a sword fearlessly. The girl then warns the goblins to stop targeting Daisuke and declares that she will be their opponent. Hearing this, the goblins grow angrier and prepare to fight. Just then, the 3 goblins leap at her, but she easily slices them down with a single swing of her blade and sends them crashing into nearby trees like empty trash cans. She strikes again and cuts down another goblin, and swiftly dodges an attack from a goblin coming from behind. She hits the goblin in the stomach and then delivers a slap to another goblin's face. Seeing this, the remaining goblins retreat in fear. After that, she turns to Daisuke and asks if he is alright, to which Daisuke wipes the sweat from his forehead and thanks her for saving him. She introduces herself as Lina, a traveling knight, and Daisuke tells her his name is Koga, but he prefers to be called Daisuke. Hearing this, she laughs at his odd name and tells him she's relieved that he's not hurt. Then Lina recites a prayer over him and wishes him the blessings of mana. Later, when they sit around a campfire, Lina explains that goblins become violent when they attack people in packs. She shares that she's currently staying in a nearby village to exterminate goblins in the area. Daisuke praises her for her bravery and mentions that her dedication would be valued in a business setting. His compliments make Lina blush, and she humbly downplays them. She changes the subject and says that Daisuke's clothes don't belong in this world. Then she points towards his gun and asks if it's some kind of strange talisman. Daisuke picks up his airgun and explains that it's a personal self-defense weapon. Hearing this, Lina gets curious and imagines him using it against a goblin, though she doubts that it will really work. Just then, she stands up and tells Daisuke that it's dangerous to wander the forest alone and insists that she will escort him to the village. However, our Chad old guy is reluctant to accept her help, but Lina grabs his hand and reassures him that there's no shame in being weak and tells him that as a knight, it's her duty to protect the weak. Hearing this, Daisuke reluctantly agrees to her offer and thanks her as they set off before dusk. After walking for a while, Lina points out that the village is now in sight, but just then, they notice movement in the bushes. Lina senses that something is off and tells Daisuke that all the animals seem to be avoiding something. Then she draws her sword and warns that goblins might be near. Suddenly, a stone-like, massive creature with wings crashes down in front of them like an unskippable YouTube ad. Lina is stunned to see the creature, while Daisuke screams that this huge thing can't be a goblin. The creature is a gargoyle, a type of magi beast created by casting magic on statues and making them attack people. Len shouts in shock when she realizes it's a gargoyle and wonders why a strong monster like this is here. Then she prepares for a fight and says that she will not let the creature cause havoc in this place. Our weak salaryman grabs her arm and suggests that they should run, but Lina insists that the village is too close and she must protect it. Lina tells Daisuke to go to the village while she holds off the gargoyle. Daisuke watches her with confusion as Lina charges towards the gargoyle. She jumps forward and uses a turning/slash attack. Her sword smashes into the creature's arm, but her expression twists with disgust when she realizes that her blade can't even cut through its thick skin. Then the gargoyle's massive hand looms above her, and she quickly moves away, and the hand slams down, crushing the ground where she was standing moments ago. After that, Lina prepares to strike again, but none of her blows leave a mark on the gargoyle. Seeing this, she thinks about how gargoyles exist only to attack humans and imagines what could happen if this one reaches the village. The gargoyle takes advantage of her distraction and lands a solid hit, which sends Lina crashing to the ground. Daisuke calls out her name as he watches her fall down. Seeing this, he realizes that she can't go on any longer and thinks that maybe this strange power was given to him for situations just like this. Just then Lina tries to get up and says that she can't afford to lose here. The gargoyle charges again, but Lina suddenly feels something is off and realizes that her body is not moving and she is unable to dodge the attack. But before the gargoyle strikes, something slams into its face and throws it off balance and saving Lina at the last moment. Lena opens her eyes in shock and sees that Daisuke is standing there holding his air gun like a budget John Wick. He walks towards her and says it is surprising to see the strange monsters in this new world. Then he aims at the gargoyle and fires repeatedly, and says that the biggest surprise of all was discovering that his airsoft gun actually works as a real firearm in this world. Seeing this, Lena calls out to him in concern as he fires at the monster. Just then, she recognizes that the item in his hands is the bizarre talisman he showed her earlier. Hearing this, Daisuke explains that it's a Glock 17, a fully automatic handgun made by the Glock company in Austria. It fires 9mm parabellum rounds, and what makes it stand out is its lightweight polymer frame, which makes it easier to use and perfect for quickly reacting to enemy moves. As he explains, Daisuke continues to shoot the gargoyle with raw firepower. Lena gasps when she sees the gargoyle start to falter, and she can't believe her eyes that it's actually weakening. Meanwhile, Daisuke keeps on firing at the gargoyle until the chunks of stone begin to fall off it. Lena is stunned to see that Daisuke defeated a monster that even seasoned knights might not be able to handle, and he did it all without using a sword. She can't help but wonder if some divine force. Finally, the gargoyle collapses as Daisuke empties his final magazine. Then he rushes to Lena and asks if she's okay, but she yells his name in response. Then she apologizes and says that she was wrong to doubt him, and his strength makes him feel like the god of war. Daisuke humbly denies it and tells her to hold her head high. Then he hands her his business card, but she is unable to understand the strange characters written on it. He glances at his watch and realizes that it's time to head back. Hearing this, Lena says she has a question for him, but Daisuke tells her he'll return once he finishes his work at his company. The word company confuses her, but Daisuke simply tells her to keep the card safe and steps toward a shining gateway and slowly disappears. Lena watches him go and wonders who Daisuke really was. Back in modern Japan, our hero Daisuke returns to his usual life and is having his lunch in his office. He is just an average salaryman who spends half his salary on survival game gear, and travels to another world after his work. Lena decides to wait for Daisuke in the forest, and after some time she notices that the name card Daisuke gave her begins to float and shine. Right then, Daisuke appears through a gate beside her like a pop-up ad and calls her name. His sudden entry surprises her, but she is happy that he has come back. Hearing this, Daisuke says he promised to return and asks what she wanted to talk about before. In response, Lena tells him to come with her, and they walk into the village, but it looks damaged and abandoned. The villagers are hiding, but when they see Lena, they slowly come out and gather around her. Just then, a child named Roko happily welcomes her back, and Lena reassures him that she's okay because she's strong. Then she explains to Daisuke that until this moment, the village had been under the control of a tamer. Hearing this, Daisuke asks what a tamer is, and Lena explains that it's someone who can make monsters do as he wants them to. Then she tells him that about 6 months ago, a man set his sights on the village's harvest and attacked using a horde of powerful creatures. The villagers tried to fight back, but they couldn't stand against so many monsters. Their women were taken, and the village's money and food were constantly stolen. Then she says that she passed by the village during one of her travels and tried to save the village and challenged the tamer, Murdoch. Lena gets a flashback when she is fighting off Murdoch's monsters, and then asks him to free the village and its hostages. But Murdoch mocks her and says that she has some skill, but she doesn't have enough strength. Then he holds one of the hostage women and tells Lena that he'll never give up this luxurious life, and says that only the powerful ones rule this world. After that, he orders his lizardmen to attack Lena, and an army of lizardmen charges towards her. Luna tries her best to fight them, but due to her injuries, she is unable to face them properly. Seeing this, Murdoch laughs and says that he will make her his personal plaything, like every other woman in the village. Seeing the large number of lizardmen, Lena realizes that she can't win, so she retreats. Back in the present, Daisuke listens to her with a serious expression. Lena says with regret that she wasn't able to defeat Murdoch and could only take down a few goblins until now. But after she met Daisuke, she got a ray of hope. Then she finally gathers the courage to ask if he would lend her his strength. Hearing this, Daisuke smiles and says that he'll help her however he can. His words light up Lena's face, and she asks again if he really means it, to which Daisuke replies that he can't forgive Murdoch, and her feelings for the village really touched him. Hearing his words, Lena grabs his shirt and tells him she's glad that she met someone like him. Just then, Rocco asks if Lena will really defeat the bad guy, to which she pats his head and promises to bring his mother back, and tells him to be good and wait. Lena then tells Daisuke that Murdoch has a mansion deep in the forest, and now she's ready to settle things once and for all. Hearing this, Daisuke loads his pistol, looking like a discounted James Bond, and tells Lena that it's time to go. The scene shifts to Murdoch's castle. The XL-sized villain is drinking wine and surrounded by several village women. He laughs loudly and says that with power, he can have all the money and women he wants. He then hits the woman who's pouring wine into his cup and scolds her for doing it wrong, and reminds her that he controls monsters, so it's better to stay on his good side. Just then, Daisuke and Lena enter the castle, and Murdoch hears their footsteps and turns around to see them. Lena immediately draws her sword and calls out to him, to which Murdoch smirks and asks if she's the knight who ran away after being defeated by him. Hearing this, Lena responds that today he will release all the women he took as hostages. Murdoch laughs and mocks her for bringing such a weak sword, and his laughter grows louder when he sees Daisuke standing beside her. He says that he expected her to bring a different kind of knight, but instead, she brought a weak man like Daisuke. He laughs harder and says that Lena is really running low on help, then grabs the village women and tells them to watch the show that's about to begin. After that, he begins to chant a spell, and as he finishes it, a large group of monstrous lizardmen clad in armor and wielding swords start to emerge from behind Daisuke. These creatures are reptilian warriors whose bodies are covered in tough scales. Daisuke's soul almost leaves his old body when he sees lizards with weapons coming towards him, while the lizardmen grin and stick their tongues out. Just then, Murdoch orders the lizardmen to attack and tells them to turn Daisuke and Lena into minced meat. Seeing this, the village women shout in concern for Lena and helplessly watch from above. However, Lena fearlessly draws out her sword and uses her turning slash skill to spin like a human Beyblade and effortlessly takes down the lizardmen. Just then, another lizardman appears from behind, but Lena manages to block the strike just in time. The lizardman pushes harder against her sword and makes it difficult for Lena to block its attack. Suddenly, the lizardman is knocked away in an instant, with Daisuke firing at it using his pistol. Smoke rises from the barrel as he keeps firing, while Murdoch watches from above, shocked by this strange power. He wonders what kind of ability this is that Daisuke is using to cast powerful spells without chanting. Lena is also impressed by Daisuke's action and calls him amazing. Murdoch is stunned to see that Daisuke's attacks are working against his lizardmen, who have powerful bites and tough scales. He wonders why such a powerful monster is being defeated so easily by the weak Daisuke. The village women are also amazed to see that and start talking among themselves. Just then, thick threat Murdoch shouts at Daisuke and asks who he is and if he's a sorcerer or a spirit user. Daisuke replies that his name is Koga Daisuke, and he is a trading design planning section chief. Hearing this, Murdoch gets confused because he has never heard of a salaryman before and wonders what kind of class that is. As Daisuke continues to shoot at the lizardmen, he notes that he is not facing any trouble with enemies of this level. He continues to fire upon two more lizardmen, who can't defend against his attacks. Seeing this, Murdoch calls his lizardmen useless and runs away to retrieve something from his private collection. He gets near to a jar and mutters that once he uses it, it will be the end for both Daisuke and Lena, and then he begins to chant a spell over the jar. Meanwhile, the lizardman keeps attacking, but Daisuke's continuous fires block its way, and before the lizardman can make another move, strange tentacles appear behind it and quickly wrap around its body and pull it away from Daisuke. Seeing this, Daisuke looks around and notices that a massive plant-eating monster has been summoned, and it is pulling in all the surrounding lizardmen and devouring them. This newly summoned beast is called the Man-Eater, and it is a giant carnivorous plant that is capable of moving on its own and smart enough to trap animals and other living beings. Lena tells Daisuke that it's a carnivorous plant, and both of them try to make sense of the horrifying sight in front of them. Meanwhile, Murdoch laughs like your evil aunt from Lay and tells them to have a taste of his prized collection. Hearing this, Lena quickly launches a powerful downward slash at one of the man-eater's tentacles, and the strike cuts deep, but the wound heals immediately. Seeing this, Lena realizes that the monster can regenerate itself, and Murdoch confirms it and shouts that swords are useless. However, Daisuke jumps in and attacks, and manages to land a few hits, but the monster recovers easily from every blow. Seeing this, Daisuke gets frustrated, and Lena warns him that their attacks are useless, unless they use something much more powerful. Hearing this, something clicks in Daisuke's mind, and he recalls what Krim once told him that his closet back in Japan is connected to this world. and he can access it at any time. He quickly opens a portal, and his arm reaches back into his bedroom closet, which has all sorts of weapons in it. He grabs one specific weapon and pulls it through the portal, and the portal begins to glow with a brilliant light. Seeing this, Murdoch screams that nothing can stop the man-eater now, and it will devour everything in its path, and then he warns Lena that they're doomed. Lena tries to attack again, but gets knocked back, and a man calls out to her and asks if she's okay. She softly whispers the name Oliver and recognizes something familiar in him, but when the figure moves closer, it turns out to be Daisuke. He calls out to her, but just then, tentacles emerge behind him, and Lena warns him, but Daisuke spins around and blasts them away in one shot. The tentacles explode and don't regenerate this time. Seeing this, Murdoch freezes in shock and stares at the weapon in Daisuke's hands, and wonders how it's stopping the man-eater's regeneration. Daisuke grins and introduces his new weapon as the franchise Spaz 12, which is a shotgun made by the Italian company Franchise. He reloads and explains that it's a special-purpose automatic shotgun used by military and police forces. It fires 12-gauge shells with low penetration, but at close range, it tears through targets like a cannon. He continues firing and blasts off most of the man-eater's tentacles, and says that nations have called the Spaz 12 a miniature cannon made for close-quarter combat. Looking at the monster, he realizes that the monster can't regenerate as easily anymore, and then he asks Lena if the man-eater has any weak spots. Lena confirms it and explains that plant-type monsters always have core organs or regenerative points that are deep within their bodies, so if he destroys the core, the creature will die. She spins into action like a human Beyblade and slashes at the monster, and her attack slices open its body, which reveals the monster's glowing core. She turns back and tells Daisuke that the core is open, and Daisuke leaps high into the air and lands directly above the exposed core like an airdrop. Then he points his shotgun straight at it and tells the man-eater that it's over. Then he delivers one final blast, and the fire bursts from the tip of the shotgun and hits directly into the core. The core shatters, and the man-eater begins to dissolve and disappear. Seeing this, Murdoch screams in horror over the loss of his precious collection, but his fear grows when he sees Lena standing right in front of him. He pleads with her to spare him and offers her his money and even half of the loot he stole from the village, but Lena doesn't hesitate and strikes him straight in the face, which throws him away and shatters his orb. The villagers scream with joy when they see their women return. Murdoch is tied up by the villagers, and they hand him over to the authorities. Just then, Rocco approaches Lena and thanks her for bringing his mother back, and his words bring a smile to her face. Rocco then asks if Lena is going to leave now and begs her to stay with them instead. Lena gently apologizes and tells him that she's on a journey to find someone, so she can't remain in the village for long. As Lena and Daisuke walk through the forest, he asks if she is traveling to find someone. She explains that she's looking for the man who raised and trained her to be a swordsman, and he is called the White Knight Oliver. She says that one day he vanished and left his sword behind, even though he had promised to watch over her until she became a true knight. Then she sadly admits that she still doesn't feel like a proper knight. Hearing this, Daisuke offers to help her find Oliver and tells her that he has a habit of never walking away from someone in need. Lena blushes but quickly accepts his help. Then Daisuke turns to leave and says that he'll return once his work is done. Lena silently thanks him as the portal slowly closes. Scene shifts to Krim, who is watching this, and says that choosing Daisuke was the right decision. Back in modern-day Japan, Daisuke stretches in his office, while co-workers notice the change in his mood and wonder if he's met someone. The next day, in the other world, workers are loading boxes and barrels near a docked ship in a port. Suddenly, a portal opens in the middle of the port, its light startling the workers. Just then, Daisuke steps out of the portal looking like he just came out of Vogue's cover, and yells in excitement when he looks at the sea. Luna welcomes him with a smile, and he waves at her as she explains that they are in the port city of Sesanorma. As they walk through the streets, Lena tells him that the goods constantly flow in and out of the port, and the travelers waiting for ships often spend the night here. She believes that they might find clues about Oliver in this city. Daisuke agrees with her and says that there are so many people around, so he's sure that there must be someone who knows about Oliver. Just then, a large man dressed like a jester rings a bell and shouts for everyone to come to the Colosseum for challenge battles. He asks if anyone feels confident in their strength and promises 100 gold coins to the winner. Hearing this, Daisuke asks Lena about it, and she explains that it's an open recruitment for Colosseum matches. Daisuke is thrilled to see a real-life coliseum, but Lina warns him that the place has a bad reputation. She explains that it was originally built for shows, but it was repurposed by the new lord into a betting ground that holds violent contests. She tells him to stay away from it. Just then, a hooded figure pushes through and bumps into Lina, causing her to stumble toward Daisuke, who catches her just in time. Just as the hooded figure rushes past, Daisuke looks up and sees that it's a tan-skinned woman with a distinct tattoo on her face. Daisuke continues staring at the mysterious woman as she looks back at him for a moment and then quickly rushes away through the crowd. Daisuke then turns to Lina and asks if she's okay, which makes her flustered, but she assures him that she's fine. She bows slightly to apologize for grabbing onto him when someone bumped into her, but Daisuke tells her not to worry about it. Meanwhile, the hooded woman continues running through the crowd and bumps into more people as she goes. Daisuke looks at her with curiosity with his Sherlock Holmes mind. Afterward, he and Lina enter a food restaurant named Sango's Eatery, and when the food arrives, Daisuke's eyes light up at the sight of a plate of wood-grilled steak. He says that it looks delicious, and Lina is pleased to hear it and tells him to treat this meal as a thank you for earlier. Lina explains that a nut is a common large fish found near the water's surface, and the wood-grilled steak is a local specialty. She then cheerfully shouts her thanks for the meal and recites a short prayer that shows gratitude for the bounty of the ocean and land. Daisuke claps his hands together and says the same thing before they both start eating their food. After taking his first bite, Daisuke immediately shouts that it's delicious and compares the taste of a nut to mackerel. Then he holds a fork with a piece of fish in the air and says that it would pair well with ginger soy or ponzu sauce, and adds that he would love to eat this dish with some Japanese sake. Lina enjoys the food too, but she notices that Daisuke has gone quiet and asks if something is wrong. He softly comments that her face looks like that when she smiles. Lina becomes flustered and asks if he finds it weird, but Daisuke laughs gently and says no. As they continue their meal, Lina tells him that the treat is on her today and encourages him to order anything he likes. But suddenly, she starts to panic and begins searching the table and the floor, which makes Daisuke confused and worried. Lina tells him that her wallet is missing and thinks back to the hooded woman who bumped into her earlier and suspects that the woman must have stolen her wallet. Meanwhile, the tan-skinned woman with long ears looks at a pouch and says that the night must be loaded. Then she remembers Daisuke's strange outfit and finds a talisman inside the coin pouch. She holds it up with her fingers and studies the unfamiliar writing and wonders who Daisuke really is. Back at the restaurant, Lina bows and apologizes to Daisuke for losing the talisman he gave her earlier. But our Sigma guy tells her not to worry since he still has plenty and reassures her that he'll pay for the meal himself. But as Daisuke hands over a Japanese 10,000 yen bill, the restaurant owner looks at him with confusion. Then she flicks it away and angrily asks what he expects her to do with this worthless piece of paper. Daisuke shouts in disbelief as she tosses it aside, but she scolds him and says that the restaurant only accepts copper and silver coins. Hearing this, Daisuke pulls out his phone and asks if they can do a wireless payment instead, which only makes the owner angrier. Just then, Lina appears like a wild card entry, wearing a waitress outfit and carrying food and drinks to customers. She apologizes for the wait, while the customers go wild when they see her innocent beauty. They begin to ask her to take their orders, and the rumors about a new, adorable waitress start to spread outside the shop. Just then, the restaurant owner hands Lina another plate of food and tells her she's going to work her to the bone to pay off her tab. Lina agrees and promises to do her best. Scene shifts to Daisuke, who is chopping wood with an axe while an old man smoking a pipe praises him for his strength. Daisuke thanks him for the compliment, and the old man adds that he's grateful since his body is too old and frail to do that kind of work anymore. Once their chores are finished, Lina once again apologizes to Daisuke for everything that happened because of her stolen wallet. But Daisuke smiles and tells her it's fine because he worked for his own meal and had fun doing it. Then Daisuke starts thinking that he needs to find a way to make money in this world, or things might get difficult for them later. He considers earning money by defeating enemies in games, but he feels that the system seems kind of strange. Suddenly, a man slams his fist on a table and yells about being charged for a drink he hasn't even sipped. This commotion draws the attention of the mysterious hooded woman, while the restaurant owner tells the man it's his own fault for spilling the drink, but the man tells her to decrease the food charges, and he'll let it go. The owner yells back and asks if he plans to dine and dash, and says she won't allow it. Her words anger the man, and he draws his sword and points it at her. Seeing this, the restaurant screams with fear. Just then, Lena steps forward with her sword and tells the man that she'll fight him. But before she can act, Daisuke suddenly appears between the man and the owner, which surprises both the owner and the hooded woman. The man tells Daisuke to get lost, but Daisuke stays calm and tells him to be quiet, which makes the man angrier, and he charges at Daisuke with his sword. The owner screams at Daisuke to get out of the way, but once again, the power of America shows itself, and Daisuke shoots the sword clean out of the man's hand. The man clutches his arm in pain, and the mysterious hooded woman watches in disbelief. Lena runs over to Daisuke with concern, but he tells her he's okay and explains that he used a rubber bullet. Just then, a flashback with Krim comes into his mind in which she explains that Daisuke can turn airsoft guns into real firearms and use any kind of ammunition. Daisuke finds it convenient, while Krim tells him to use it however he wants. Back at the restaurant, more of the man's group come in to fight Daisuke, but he defends himself and shoots them too. He explains that the rubber munitions were made for riot control, and they don't have the range of a metal bullet, but they hit as hard as a heavyweight boxer's punch. He tells the attackers that the pain will knock them out but won't be lethal. Hearing this, the men immediately beg for mercy and promise to pay their bill. Seeing this, the mysterious hooded woman comments that Daisuke is amazing. Just then, Daisuke quickly apologizes to the restaurant owner for leaving his chores, but she slaps him on the back and says that she is thankful to him because she is still alive. She then tells Lena and Daisuke that they can use the rooms on the second floor. However, she adds that since they're short-staffed, Daisuke and Lena can stay and work until they save up enough money. Later, Lena is relaxing in a bubble bath and thinks about how things could have gone badly, but instead, they were saved. The scene shifts to Daisuke, checking his watch and realizing it's getting late, so he needs to head back. Just then, someone appears behind him. He turns to ask who it is and finds the tan-skinned woman from before, who asks if he's a magic user. Daisuke is surprised to see her again while she holds up the bag of money and asks if he's been looking for it. Daisuke instantly recognizes it as Lena's purse and asks her to return it. But she challenges him and tells him to come at her like he did with that goon earlier. Daisuke falls silent for a moment and tells her that he won't attack someone who's unarmed. Hearing this, she comments that he's a pretty naive guy, but she doesn't hate that. Then she leans in close and asks if he'll come with her to the Colosseum. Daisuke becomes curious about the Colosseum, and she tells him that she wants the two of them to fight together to defeat all the warriors there and win the grand prize. Then she gives him a warm hug like they are homies since dial-up, and introduces herself as Ashley. She asks Daisuke if he will join her for the Colosseum battles, and tells him that it's a good deal for both of them. But Daisuke doesn't answer right away. Just then, Lena walks in and asks who the girl is, and Daisuke explains that Ashley is the one who stole her purse. But Ashley doesn't seem to care and casually introduces herself to Lena. But Lena gets angry and demands her purse back. Seeing this, Ashley calmly tells her to relax and says that the money inside is nothing to her now since she's found a better way to earn gold. Ashley then explains that she wants to team up with Daisuke to enter the Colosseum and win the prize. She reveals that the Colosseum hosts chaotic battles where skilled fighters go against each other in a free-for-all, and the last person wins 100 gold coins. But there's a catch that the final winner has to face a powerful boss named Dorgan, who has never lost a single match and is known for his overwhelming strength. But still, Ashley believes that they can win it with Daisuke's magic that he used on the thug earlier. After Ashley finishes talking, Lena warns Daisuke not to get lured by her words and reveals that many of the fighters in the Colosseum are locals who are forced to participate. She tells him that the town's leader, Lord Hildert, uses people to fill the numbers, and escaping from the matches costs 50 gold coins, which is nearly impossible for common people to gather. Hearing this, Ashley brushes off Lena's warning and says that since both Daisuke and Lena are outsiders, they don't need to worry about that. She insists that they can just go in to win and walk away. Lena tries to explain further, but Ashley turns to Daisuke again and asks if he'll go with her. However, Daisuke turns her down and says that he doesn't trust her because it feels like she's hiding something. He explains that he has worked in the business world for years, so he's good at reading people, and he can sense that something about her isn't right. Hearing this, Ashley gets disappointed and asks if that's his final answer, and says it's a shame because she saw something special in him. Then she suddenly leaps back and gets ready to leave, to which Lena yells at her to give the purse back. But it's too late because Ashley has already vanished into the trees like a graduate monkey. While moving away, she thinks that she only needs 45 gold coins. Just then, Daesuk checks his watch and realizes it's already time for work and instantly steps through the portal. Back at the restaurant, Lena asks the owner about the Colosseum, and the owner begins to tell her about the Colosseum's history. She reveals that after the fall of the Old Kingdom, the new lord turned the place into something terrible. The Colosseum used to be different, but now it's filled with violence and greedy people. She wonders aloud who will finally defeat Drogon and leave Lord Hildert speechless. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Hildert's castle, where Drogon is smashing everything in sight like a wild beast, while a group of men watches from a distance. Just then, Hildert shows up and asks how Dorgan is doing, and his man reports that he's in perfect condition and shows no signs of rejecting the regeneration magic used on him. Hildert is pleased to hear this and says that as long as he has his spells, Dorgan will always obey. Then Hildert tells his men that people have always loved watching brutal fights, and the Colosseum is the perfect place to earn profit from that. He reaches into a bag full of papers and tosses them into the air, and says that it's time for the raffle, then orders his men to gather participants for the next match. Back in the restaurant, a portal opens, and Daesuk steps out and notices that something is wrong. He hears that the owner is begging the guards to stop taking her 70-year-old husband away to fight in the Colosseum. Daesuk quickly walks over to Lena to find out what's happening and explains that the guards came to take the old man as part of the lottery selection for the next match. Hearing this, Daesuk tries to stop them, but the guard snaps at him and tells him that this is an official order from Lord Hildert, and if the owner doesn't comply, she has to either pay 50 gold coins or sell the restaurant. Hearing this, the owner gets scared because her restaurant only makes 1 coin a month, so she can't possibly pay that amount. Seeing this, the guards start pulling her husband away, and then the owner finally gives in and says she'll sell the restaurant. But before they can leave, Lena steps forward and tells them that she'll take the old man's place, and the owner tries to stop her. But Lena draws her sword, takes a few quick swings, and points the blade at the guard, making his heart beat faster than Formula 1. Then she says that even if she's dressed as a waitress, she's still a knight and confident in her skills. Seeing this, the guard tells Lena that there's no issue if she takes the old man's place, but the restaurant owner keeps begging Lena not to go. Suddenly, Ashley shows up and offers to help and says that she wants half of the prize in return. Just then, Daesuk appears beside them and tells Lena that he's going too. Then Lena turns away from the owner and gently tells her to forgive her, as she's going to take a break from her job for now. Hearing this, the owner asks if they're really serious about doing this, to which Lena smiles and tells her they're going to try their best to defeat Dorgan and leave Lord Hildert speechless. The scene shifts to the massive Colosseum, where the free-for-all battle is about to begin. A man stands on a podium and announces to the crowd that the battle challenge is starting, urging anyone confident in their strength to enter through the participant gate. Warriors from all over are gathered, dressed in various types of armor and carrying different weapons. Just then, another man in the audience stands up and shouts that the moment they've all waited for has come, and tells them that the fighters are about to enter. The gates of the Colosseum swing open, and the warriors start to walk in. Daesuk and Lena are also among them, and they can feel the heavy pressure of the fighters around them. The crowd shouts at the warriors to fight, and some of the fighters yell back that they will be the last ones standing. Ashley walks in too with her whip-like weapon, and thinks that none of these people can match Daesuk. Just then, Lord Hildert appears above the arena where everyone can see him. He tells the fighters they have done well to gather here as brave warriors, and then he raises his arm and shouts that they must fight, and the one who stands at the end will win 100 gold coins. Trumpets blast around the Colosseum, signaling the start of the battle. The warriors break into groups and begin fighting each other. Metal clashes loudly across the arena. Lena tells Daesuk she'll leave her back to him, and he tells her to go ahead and trust him. The two stand back to back, ready to face anyone. After that, he announces the start of the battle. Both Lena and Daesuk are standing ready to face the opponents, and Lena shouts that she'll leave the rear to Daesuk, and he nods in response. The battle keeps going as more warriors start focusing on Lena and Daesuk. One of them steps forward and calls himself Herodias Roman III and says that he came to the Colosseum to test his skills. Then he charges at Lena and tells her to face his unbeatable blade. But Lena stays calm and takes him down easily with a single swing of her sword. Right after that, 2 more warriors join the fight and shout that they'll be the last ones standing. Seeing this, Lina charges at them and strikes both down with all her power, making them rethink their life choices. Just then, more warriors rush at her, and she takes a deep breath and uses a new move called Sonic Zapper that blasts away anyone it hits. The other warriors are shocked by her power, but Lina doesn't slow down and keeps charging at the crowd of warriors and cuts them down one by one. Soon, the warriors start to realize that she must be a trained swordsman and is way out of their league. They figure out that their only chance is to attack her from behind, where Daisuke is guarding. But as one warrior gets close, Daisuke calmly pulls out his gun and shoots him without a word. This shocks the warriors, and they wonder if he used magic. Hearing this, Daisuke admires the gun he's using and says that it's high caliber but easy to handle. While the warriors are still confused and can't even tell what hit them. Meanwhile, Daisuke tells Lina that his weapon is a government-issued CT model that fires .45 ACT rounds instead of 9mm. He explains that it doesn't have much range, but its weight gives a heavy shock impact. He says all this while dodging attacks, and then shoots another warrior at point-blank range and drops them in a single shot. Then he tells everyone the bullets are rubber-tipped and will only stop without killing. The crowd gets impressed by Daisuke's skills and starts cheering for him. Daisuke raises his gun and warns the remaining warriors not to come any closer. Meanwhile, Herodias recovers from Lina's earlier hit and admits that she's strong and promises not to drop his guard again, but he can only watch as she keeps taking out warrior after warrior. Daisuke keeps firing at anyone who gets near them, and together, they completely dominate the battlefield. Meanwhile, on the edge of the arena, a group of innocent villagers is trembling in fear because they were forced into the match and don't even know how to hold a sword. Just then, a skilled warrior notices them and starts walking over and thinking that they'll be easy targets. Seeing this, the villagers scream and shut their eyes in fear. But before he can strike, something hits him hard and sends him flying like a rocket with no countdown. Ashley stands there with her whip in hand, warning the warrior to back off. She tells him that if he touches them, she'll be his next opponent. Just then, one of the villagers says with shock that she saved him, and Ashley calls him Ethan, explaining that she's been searching for a man who wears a scarf just like his. Meanwhile, the crowd keeps shouting for more blood and fights. The owner of the restaurant looks around with worry, wondering if Lina and Daisuke will be okay. Just then, a man near her shouts for the crowd to place their bets and tells them this is their last chance, and announces that the highest chances are on the guy in strange clothes and the night girl. Back on the field, one of the warriors realizes that while Lina is strong, Daisuke is even more dangerous, and he will finish them before they even get close. Just then, one of them notices that, unlike Lina, Daisuke hasn't actually taken anyone down yet. They come up with a plan that if they all gang up on Daisuke, they might be able to win. They begin their plan instantly, and Daisuke spots that enemies are attacking him from both sides. He tries to dodge, but the strikes keep coming and make it difficult for him to handle. Seeing this, the warriors laugh and say that even if one of them falls, the rest will take him down. Daisuke quickly backs off to get some space and admits that their plan is smart, while Lina shouts that they're cowards. But Daisuke doesn't back down and calmly reaches into a portal, while the warriors watch in confusion and wonder what he's doing. Meanwhile, Ashley tells the villagers to run away from all of the warriors and explains that the last one standing will win. But losing doesn't mean death, so they should surrender and still survive. But the villagers are scared and say that if they lose, they'll just be forced to fight again and again. Ashley gets frustrated and urges them to survive, and says that they can figure something out once they get through this. Just then, she notices that Daisuke is now holding a new weapon and blasting the warriors with it like a firecracker. Seeing this, the warriors shout in shock and wonder what kind of weird hammer he's using. Daisuke reloads and introduces it as the Ingram M10, which is an American-made submachine gun. He explains that it shoots pistol rounds rapidly and is easier to handle than a rifle, and it is perfect for close combat. Then he fires again and sprays bullets towards the attackers and tells them it's like a machine pistol, which is great for hitting multiple targets. The crowd cheers loudly as he takes down more enemies, and seeing this, Ashley starts to believe that Daisuke might actually win this match. Even Lord Hildert is impressed and says that they finally have a real contender. Then he tells his men to release Dorgan, to which one of them asks if it's too soon, but Hildert says that it would be boring to wait until the end. The men obey, and the gate to the arena slowly opens, and everyone turns to look towards it. Dorgan comes out of the gate, and his presence alone sends warriors flying, and his huge figure smashes everything in his path like a wild beast. The warriors panic and start running as Dorgan stomps the ground and rushes forward. Then, it appears right in front of Daisuke and Ashley and towers over him like a giant. The announcer shouts that the moment for the arrival of the strongest warrior, Dorgan, has finally come. The crowd begins to chant his name as Dorgan roars back and gets ready to destroy everything in sight. Then he grabs two warriors with his bare hands and lifts them into the air. They scream for help, but no one can stop him. Seeing this, Daisuke immediately fires at Dorgan, but the bullets do nothing, which shocks him. Just then, Dorgan swings at him, but Daisuke dodges just in time and rushes back to Lina. She calls out to him with worry, but he says he's fine and admits that Dorgan is way more dangerous than he expected. The other warriors are also stunned because no one told them that Dorgan would be this strong. Just then, Lord Hildert announces that if they want freedom, they have to fight for it now, and the entire arena falls silent. All attention shifts to Dorgan, and everyone is waiting to see who can defeat the strongest warrior of all. Just then, Dorgan lets out a fierce roar, and every warrior in the arena stops to stare, and even the restaurant owner gasps at his sudden roar. Meanwhile, Lina holds her ground and stands there fearlessly. The other fighters rush in from all sides and try to overwhelm him with numbers, but one mighty swing of Dorgan's arm sends most of them flying across the battlefield. Seeing this, some warriors hesitate and realize that they have underestimated him. Just then, Ashley steps forward like a low-budget Marvel hero and urges the frightened fighters to stay patient, and then she charges towards Dorgan alone. To her surprise, Lina joins her at the same moment and asks if Ashley planned to fight solo. Hearing this, Ashley blushes and admits that she knew someone brave would stand by her side, and together, they attack Dorgan. Lina charges from above while Ashley attacks from below, and Lina's sword slashes Dorgan's shoulder, but something feels wrong. Just then, Daisuke tells Ashley to move because he notices that Dorgan is about to strike her, but Ashley dodges it just in time. Then he steps up and unleashes a non-stop stream of bullets at Dorgan's arm, but Dorgan blocks all the fires with his huge forearm. Daisuke then checks on Ashley and asks if she's alright, to which she nods. Daisuke then tells them that he's switched to live ammunition and will not use any rubber rounds now. The bullets leave deep holes in Dorgan's arm, but the wounds heal almost instantly. Seeing this, one of Lord Hildert's servants, who is watching from the side, sees that the grafted tissue is reforming, so he rushes to report that the regeneration is a success, but Hildert barely pays attention. He smirks and says that profit is part of the game, but what he truly enjoys is unleashing Dorgan in the arena. Then he stands and shouts down to Dorgan, and ordering him to crush every fighter and make them kneel. At that moment, Herobodius rushes towards Dorgan and challenges him to a duel, but Dorgan instantly sends him flying like a rejected text. It convinces the crowd that Dorgan will win again, but then they notice that Daisuke is charging towards Dorgan with his gun and shoots loose a hail of bullets into Dorgan's shoulder. Seeing this, the warriors scream that Dorgan is finally under attack. Daisuke fires another burst, then rushes forward with his shotgun, and the crowd urges him to finish it. Daisuke keeps on firing with his shotgun, but gets shocked when he realizes that Dorgan is still standing and his wounds are healing instantly. Seeing this, Hildert laughs and says he wants to see how far Daisuke can fight against Dorgan, and then commands Dorgan to focus on Daisuke. Hearing this, Dorgan instantly obeys and charges towards Daisuke, but Daisuke quickly moves away before Dorgan closes in. Just then, Ashley appears at his side and warns him that Dorgan is coming him, to which Daisuke steps back to gain distance, making Ashley curious about his plan. As Dorgan's massive arm swings toward him, Daisuke sidesteps and pushes the limb aside. Then he spins and points his shotgun at Dorgan's helmeted head and fires, which hits Dorgan, and its huge form crashes to the ground. The warriors start cheering while Ashley and Lina rush to Daisuke to celebrate his success. Daisuke explains that the shotgun didn't do massive damage, but when he aimed at the helmet, it delivered a powerful shock that went straight to Dorgan's brain and knocked him out. He says that the brain can't be trained the same way, even if the body is too strong. Daisuke assures Lina and Ashley that after that last shot, Dorgan wouldn't be able to move for a while. But to his shock, Dorgan rises again like a glitched zombie and launches a fierce attack that barely misses Daisuke, and he counters with a close-range shotgun blast to Dorgan's head, but it still doesn't go down. This confuses Daisuke, and he wonders how Dorgan is still moving after a direct headshot. Just then, Dorgan lands a heavy elbow strike that sends Daisuke crashing across the ground and knocks him unconscious. Lina sees him on the ground and calls out to him in panic, but he doesn't respond. Meanwhile, Hildert celebrates Dorgan's victory with a big grin. Just then, Dorgan's helmet falls off, and the entire arena gets silent in shock when they see that Dorgan has no face and his head is solid stone. The warriors are when they realize that Dorgan isn't human. Even Ashley stares in disbelief when she realizes what they've been fighting till now. Hildert laughs at their reactions and says that a human like Dorgan never existed, and reveals that Dorgan is a stone golem that is powered by Hildert's own life force. Hearing this, the crowd gets shocked too. Just then, Hildert's servant urges him to stop the match and warns him that without the helmet, the golem will regain its original strength, and that would be really bad, but Hildert doesn't care and refuses to stop. It turns out, stone golems are creatures made entirely of rock, and they don't have a mind of its own. It has terrifying strength and nearly impenetrable defense. Seeing Dorgan's power, the remaining warriors begin to scream and try to flee. But it's too late, and Dorgan's shadow looms over them, and after that, a massive explosion erupts. Everyone in the arena gets panicked, and people try to run to save their lives, but despite all the chaos, Daisuke is still lying motionless on the ground. Just then, the restaurant owner runs up to Lena and begs her to escape with them. But Lena refuses and says they can't let the golem escape. Ashley agrees with her and reminds them that they'll lose the prize if they don't win. After that, Lena charges toward Dorgan, and the other warriors also join in to help, but get blown away effortlessly, and it makes the rest of them lose hope. Ashley starts to panic and thinks that there's a golem on the loose, and Daisuke is down, so it's impossible to get Ethan out of the arena. While the golem keeps attacking, Hildert is still celebrating like a madman and is excited by the sight of destruction. Just then, Harabatus checks on Daisuke, who finally regains consciousness. Harabatus tells him that Drogon is a golem, and Daisuke slowly regains his focus. He reaches into his inventory and pulls out something that catches Harabatus off guard. Meanwhile, Hildert continues commanding the golem to attack, with its primary target being Lena. She fails to block the strike and falls to the ground. Seeing this, Ashley rushes in and whips the golem while commanding it to stop. Hildert laughs maniacally and says that nothing can stop his creation, but suddenly, a part of the golem's shoulder explodes. Hildert is stunned and doesn't understand what just happened, and as the smoke settles down, everyone sees Daisuke lying on the ground, holding the dream weapon of every pub player. Lena and Ashley light up with joy when they see he's okay, and Harbiotis praises Daisuke too. But Daisuke says he missed the shot and tells them that it is his first time using this gun and promises the next shot won't miss. Hildert watches from above and says that he can't believe Daisuke is still alive and is wielding something that can hurt his prized golem. Then he commands the golem to take Daisuke out right away, and the golem charges forward, but Daisuke remains calm and waits for the perfect moment. As the golem gets close, Daisuke fires his massive rifle, and the shot tears the golem's arm clean off, and its limbs fall to the ground with such force that they nearly knock everyone over. Seeing this, the crowd gasps in shock, and Hildert screams in horror at the sight of his prized golem's destruction. Meanwhile, Harabatus rushes through the crowd and asks Daisuke about the weapon. Daisuke tells him that it's the Barrett M82 anti-material rifle that is built to shoot through targets that ordinary rifles and machine guns can't touch, and it has enough power to stop armored vehicles and attack helicopters. Hildert shouts angrily and vows to take revenge on Daisuke. Just then, the golem gets up and charges again despite its missing arm. Lena spots the golem's movement and shouts for Daisuke to fire once more, to which he shoots another round and takes out one of the golem's legs, and the golem collapses onto the arena floor with a loud thud. Seeing this, Hildert lets out a loud scream while the crowd erupts in cheers and comments that Daisuke has actually done it. Ashley also admires Daisuke's skills, while Lena rushes to Daisuke's side and asks if he's hurt. In response, Daisuke only grunts in pain, to which Harabatus kneels beside him and realizes that Daisuke has been firing despite having both legs broken by the golem's earlier attack. Hearing this, Daisuke asks if he can help him get up, while Ashley speaks up and declares that Daisuke is the winner of the match. Just then, Lena notices a new group of warriors moving toward them. She and Ashley step forward to block the path and warn them that anyone who wants to beat Daisuke will have to get through them first. One of the warriors steps up and admits they wouldn't dare because they know Daisuke is far out of their league. Another warrior says that it gives him the creeps that someone like Daisuke exists in their world. Meanwhile, Hildert is working harder than your brain during finals and begins to cast a spell and orders his golem to rise again. Everyone watches in shock as rocks and stones float into the air and massive chunks of earth swirl around to piece the golem back together. The warriors in the arena start to panic as they see the golem being revived. Even Hildert's own servant begs him to stop and warns him that this is reckless. His servant reveals that the golem was originally created by their country's greatest sorcerer, Grem, using the most advanced magic techniques. He warns Hildert again and tells him that forcing the golem back like this will make it unstable and dangerous. But Hildert doesn't listen and tells him to shut up. Then he glares at Daesuk and blames him for the destruction of the golem gifted by their king. Meanwhile, the golem keeps forming, and this time it grows even bigger. Seeing this, the warriors start arguing with Hildert and say that the match is already over, and demand the prize. However, Hildert refuses and tells them he doesn't care about the tournament anymore, and all he wants now is to send Daesuk 6 feet under. Meanwhile, the giant golem rushes forward and aims for Daesuk again, but Lena steps up and tells Daesuk that she and Ashley will handle it. Harabodius acts like a low-budget action hero and steps forward, too, and announces himself as Golem's opponent. But when he sees how massive it is, he panics and grabs Daesuk and carries him away from the golem as fast as he can. While running, Harabodius tells Daesuk that the only thing that worked before was his big attack. But he knows it'll be hard for Daesuk to fight in his injured state. Meanwhile, the farmers who were forced to fight find a way to escape, and seeing this, Ashley tells Ethan to leave with them. But Ethan hesitates and asks why she isn't leaving too. Ashley just smiles and says there are people she can't leave and tells him to go, and reminds him that his mother is waiting. Back in the arena, the golem is smashing the remaining warriors, and Hildert watches in excitement and yells at everyone to run for their lives. Meanwhile, Ashley joins Lena and tells her they need to distract the golem and reveals that the golem isn't moving on its own, but is being controlled by Hildert. She says that if they can break Hildert's focus or get Daesuk out of sight, they can buy some time. Lena quickly understands and promises to do her best, and then stops for a moment and praises Ashley. Hearing this, Ashley blushes and yells at her to hurry up with a serious face. After that, Ashley gets ready to cast a powerful spell, and a bright light gathers around her. She activates her cursed crest and asks it for strength. Meanwhile, Lena launches her sonic zapper straight at Hildert, which doesn't hurt him, but it does draw his attention. Hildert laughs at her and calls her a foolish knight for thinking such an attack would stop him. Then he promises to slay her after he's done with Daesuk. But when he looks around, he realizes that Daesuk has already disappeared like the last slice of pizza. Suddenly, a heavy thumping sound shakes the entire arena, which makes the warriors panic, and they wonder what new horror is coming. Just then, a massive shadow appears through the smoke, and as the dust clears, Drogon is standing there in its armor. Everyone is shocked and confused while Lena turns to see something happening to Ashley and starts to believe all of this might be her doing. As the two Drogons prepare to face each other, Lena can only wonder what Ashley truly is. Everyone is stunned as another Dorgan appears in the arena, and Hildert says in disbelief that there can only be one Dorgan, and it belongs to him alone. Just then, Hildert's stone golem starts launching boulders at the armored golem, but the attacks also hurt the nearby warriors, who panic and yell for everyone to run before they die. The armored golem lets out a mighty roar and strikes the stone golem with a powerful fist, which shocks Hildert, who cannot understand what is happening. Meanwhile, Lena tries to call out to Ashley, but Ashley is completely focused on casting her spell. Just then, one of the villagers rushes out of the arena to inform the village elder that someone with the cursed crest has appeared. Hearing this, the elder tells them to stay calm and reminds them that there is nothing they can do except banish the cursed one from their land, as cursed individuals will only bring misfortune. The elder reflects that Ashley must have known this fate would come. Scene shifts to Ashley, who reflects on her past and thinks that she was born a cursed child, something that happens very rarely because of an ancient curse placed on elves. She feels like she simply pulled the short end of the raffle. She grew up thinking she could never trust someone else's smile because the moment something became inconvenient, they would throw her away. One day, while she is having a fever, an old lady finds her and brings her into her home. Ashley wonders what the old lady is planning and why she would help her. Hearing this, the old lady only smiles and tells her about her own son, who was taken into the Colosseum. She knows she cannot do anything else for him and feels powerless. She believes that if she had 50 gold coins, she could free him, but she knows that for an old woman like her, it is almost impossible. She tells herself that the only reason she is still alive is because of her son, and then she starts to cry. Seeing this, Ashley realizes that the old lady still holds onto hope and decides that she will bring the old lady's son back no matter what it takes, and she will find a way to get 50 gold coins. Hearing this, the old lady looks at Ashley and wonders why she would go so far for someone she does not know, and Ashley tells her to make a promise that when her son returns, she must just hug him without saying anything. She thinks that no matter what, there is someone you should never let go of. Back to the present, the armored golem is still fighting the stone golem when Ashley notices that everyone has already escaped the arena, and she ends her spell. Seeing this, Hildert suddenly realizes that what he had been fighting was only an illusion, something that never even existed. He curses Ashley for tricking him, but Ashley remains calm and tells him that her cursed crest ability allows her to create image projections of anything she has seen, whether it is flying rocks, smoke, or even creatures. Hildert pieces it together and understands she is an illusion magic user. However, Ashley feels relaxed that everyone else has already escaped safely and says to him that he got exactly what he deserved. Hearing this, Hildert grows furious that she dared to look down on him and orders the golem to crush her. The golem obeys and charges straight toward Ashley. But Ashley remains calm and wonders if Ethan has already reunited with his mother. She thinks about Lena and Daisuke and feels that being able to meet people who were truly kind before her final moments is not such a bad life after all. Just then, the golem races forward and reaches out to capture her. Just as the stone golem grabs Ashley, Daisuke makes a wild entry from the top of the arena and quickly fires a shot that blasts away the part of the golem holding her. Haribodius, who is holding Daisuke, praises his timely shot, to which Daisuke says that he will end the battle once and for all. Hildert is stunned to see Daisuke back in action and curses under his breath. Meanwhile, Haribodius comments that he won't last long when he notices Daisuke's weakened state and his broken bones. Seeing this, Ashley wonders why Daisuke came back for her when he is already so injured and why he did not just abandon her. Meanwhile, Daisuke continues firing at the golem, and each bullet blasts away the chunks of its rocky body. Haribodius observes the battle and realizes that the shattered boulders keep returning to their original places because of the golem's regenerative magic. While Hildert laughs louder than a broken record and says that as long as he has the magic power, the golem can regenerate endlessly. Haribodius asks Daisuke if staying in that spot is safe and mentions that there is no way to escape if the golem reaches them. Hearing this, Daisuke says that from his current position, he can still aim accurately without moving. Haribodius then tells Daisuke that he spotted something inside the golem, and that is a small statuette hidden among the rocks, which seems to be its core. He says now that much of the outer boulders blasted away, the core has finally become visible. Daisuke quickly understands that the statuette is the golem's weakness. At the same time, outside the arena, one of the warriors informs the citizens that the opponent they are facing is not human at all but a golem named Dorgan. As they look up, they see something massive falling from above. Inside the arena, the stone golem finally reaches the upper area where Daisuke and Haribodius are hiding. Hildert bursts into laughter and says that he has destroyed all exits and trapped them. He proudly says that he has finally won. Seeing this, Haribodius urgently asks Daisuke what he plans to do next. Daisuke remains calm and says that the structure of the area cannot support the golem's immense weight. Just as expected, the ground beneath the golem starts to crumble, unable to bear its mass, and the golem begins to slip. As the ground collapses, Haribodius realizes that this was Daisuke's plan all along. However, Daisuke admits that he cannot move anymore, but Haribodius encourages him to take the final shot. With the last of his strength, Daisuke aims his rifle at the exposed statuette inside the golem, and his bullet shatters the core in half. With its core destroyed, the remaining parts of the golem lose all strength and crash down from the top of the arena. The golem's massive body crumbles into rocks and falls right in front of Hildert. Seeing this, the villagers can't believe what they've just seen and praise Daisuke for defeating the golem. Meanwhile, Ashley rushes towards Daisuke and leans on him, then asks why he decided to return. Daisuke reassures her that he's glad she's alright and explains that he couldn't leave someone behind. After that, Ashley and Haribodius help Daisuke out of the arena and are shocked to see that the villagers are cheering for him and calling him the Golem Slayer. Haribodius announces that the danger has passed and that everyone can enjoy because the golem has been defeated. Just then, a woman approaches them and thanks Daisuke for saving her husband, who came back home safely. Other villagers join in and call him Golem Slayer and praise him for his incredible strength. Daisuke tries to downplay the situation and explains that he's just a simple salaryman and asks them to stop calling him by that title. Hearing this, the woman apologizes, and the other villagers start calling him Sir Salaryman. Seeing this, Daisuke gives up and smiles while Herodias explains to him that it's natural for people to rely on the strong and that the true meaning of being a hero is to respond kindly to others' admiration. Just then, Lina appears and asks if Daisuke is alright, to which Daisuke says he's glad she's safe as well. Lina thanks him and says that they're not exactly fine yet, and before they can continue, Hildert angrily storms over and asks how Daisuke could destroy his precious golem. Then he orders his men to apprehend Daisuke immediately and calls him a traitor to the country. However, the men hesitate and don't move forward to capture Daisuke. Hildert gets confused and asks what they're waiting for. Just then, someone throws a mug at him, which causes him to angrily shout at the person and threaten to imprison them under charges of treason. One of the villagers steps forward with main character vibes and says that they have Daisuke, who defeated Hildert's golem. At that moment, one of Hildert's servants arrives and informs him that the citizens have surrounded the mansion, and this news shocks Hildert. Hearing this, the villagers begin throwing objects at him, and one of them says that their lives have been ruined under his rule, and tells him to step down and let someone decent take over. All of the villagers insist that Hildert should leave the city. Seeing their rage, Hildert's servant suggests they leave before things get worse and urges him to return to their homeland. Hildert instantly climbs into his carriage and swears that he will never forget this humiliation and curses Daisuke. As Hildert leaves, the villagers start celebrating his departure. Meanwhile, Ethan finds his mother and runs to her and tells her about the elf who helped him in the Colosseum. Hearing this, the old woman remembers Ashley's words and hugs her son even tighter, while Ashley watches them from a distance, silently. Meanwhile, Daisuke is standing with a pouch in his hand that contains 100 gold coins. Ashley approaches him and reminds him of their agreement and says she'll take 50 coins. Lina advises Daisuke to keep the remaining 50 coins safe and says that there will be times when they might need money. Daisuke agrees and promises to keep it safe in his closet. Hearing this, Ashley tries to gaslight our hero and suggests that they double the money in the casino and asks Daisuke to hand it over. However, Lina immediately refuses and warns Daisuke not to give the money to Ashley. Just then, Herodias calls out Daisuke and introduces himself as Herodias Roman III and says that he sees Daisuke as a paragon. In response, Daisuke shakes his hand and presents his business card and explaining about the company he works for. Herodias takes the card and calls it a strange letter that he has never seen in his life. Just then, a nurse approaches Daisuke and informs him that they need to treat the wounds on his legs immediately. Daisuke assures her that his wound is fine and says it will heal on its own. Then he quickly opens his portal, and Ashley is shocked to see the portal and wonders if it is teleportation magic. While Daisuke instantly enters the portal and waves his hand, Lina says that they will be waiting for him. Seeing this, Herodias once again calls Daisuke the Strange One. After that, Lina tells Ashley to return her money, but Ashley just laughs carelessly without giving it back. Meanwhile, our old shooter steps into his world through his closet and notices that his body has healed. He recalls Krim's words that the teleportation gate will heal all wounds and fatigue every time he uses it. She told him that he should return if he ever gets hurt or tired before coming back. The next day, Daisuke is back at work in his office, and his co-workers are surprised to see him in such a good mood. The scene shifts to the castle of the Gurnia Empire, where Hildert is standing nervously before the king. Hildert apologizes for the recent events, and one of the king's knights comments that Hildert lost the golem that had been gifted to him by the king. Just then, another knight says that, according to the report, only one person was responsible for destroying the golem and sarcastically suggests that Hildert should come up with a more believable lie. Hearing this, Hildert protests and insists that he is telling the truth. Then he explains that the man who defeated the golem claimed to be a salaryman and used strange-looking weapons with unbelievable power. The king listens carefully and then orders his Black Knight, Zal, to find and capture the man, and the Black Knight immediately accepts the order. Who do you think the Black Knight is? Is he a monster like the magic golem or just a powerful knight? What kind of new gun do you think our salaryman will use to face this new threat? And if you're enjoying this story, comment pew pew for part 2, and don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more videos like these. See you in the next video.